This podcast is produced by Outcomes Rocket, your healthcare exclusive digital marketing agency. Outcomes Rocket exists to help healthcare organizations like yours to maximize their impact and accelerate growth. Visit outcomesrocket.com or text us at 312-224-9945. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Beat at Vive. So excited that you decided to tune in to our show. We're recording here at the conference with Kevin Ritter. He is the Executive Vice President of Care in Motion at Altera Digital Health. He's an experienced digital health leader with more than 20 years of experience spanning electronic health records, population health management, consumer health, and data analytics. He's a pro, and I'm excited he's here with us. Kevin, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And look, would love to dive right into it, Kevin.
Sure.
Tell us about how your organization's helping drive change in healthcare delivery.
Yeah, thanks so much for the question. I think I could probably answer this a couple of different ways. However, I'll focus on some of the areas that we in the Care Motion team and what we're working on at Altera. I mean, we're obviously heavily invested in interoperability. We've been on this journey for about 15 years or so now. And so it's kind of a core strength of what we do around data. And, at the core of what we do, we're aggregating a lot of source systems, a lot of the national networks, and kind of turning it into actionable data, usable data at the point of care, as well as through analytics and across kind of the patient's care journey. So I think some of the technology that's really exciting to me, certainly FHIR, everyone's talking about it, and certainly everyone's kind of using it from just kind of data connectivity strategy. I think you look at things like FHIRcast, even some of the regulations and some of the work that the Sequoia project is doing around TEFCA and some of the national networks that are out there as well. And then obviously here at Vive, I'd be kind of ashamed to not mention what's happening with generative AI. And we're sort of embedding that kind of inside and outside of our product. So when I think about it from inside our product, we're using it to help with some of the mapping. As we all know, I think healthcare data is inherently messy. Mm-hmm. So I think when you look at some of the technology and what generative AI can provide, it does help us with a lot of the mapping technology itself. It also helps us sort of look at the way some of our customers are using our product, which is great, so that we can sort of craft better experiences for them throughout sort of the product experience. And then obviously from an analytics perspective, I think, we're looking at for providing clinical insights to providers. We're looking at it for some admin tasks as well. So there are a whole host of things that we're looking at from a use case perspective as it pertains to generative AI. And so I think we're all on this sort of journey, I guess, certainly from a data perspective, to provide this kind of panacea, which is this kind of personalized care, right? So everyone talks about making this transition from sick care to well care. And it all starts with kind of the data and the quality of the data and where the data is being surfaced throughout kind of a patient's care journey. And I think that's really, really important for us. And I think it's a journey that will be on for some time. But getting to a place where we're truly delivering personalized well care is sort of the panacea in my mind.
I love it. It's a great focus area, and bringing us into healthcare from sick care is something that is desperately needed. So you mentioned data, right? And data sharing. What role does it play in improving patient care, and what are some of the biggest challenges to achieving it?
Yeah, no, so data is, I think, probably, one of the more important things when you look at providing kind of quality healthcare. And I think sharing data and sharing high quality data, I think, plays an important role in, a patient's kind of care journey. I think if you can provide data at the right time, the right place, and provide relevant information and not overburdening clinicians while they're kind of treating patients, I think it's incredibly beneficial for the whole kind of care journey itself. And so when you look at some of the technologies, again, that are out there and that are coming, I think we're going to unlock a lot of data. But, at the core of healthcare, data is inherently messy. It was never really intended to be shared. So it started out very proprietary. It still exists in proprietary fashion in a lot of different ways. And so I think unlocking that data, you hear the term kind of actionable data and things like that. And that truly is where we're all trying to go, because, getting away from PDFs and, all this unstructured data elements that still makes up a large part of our healthcare world is, I think, where we'll start to see the benefit, and getting to the discrete data elements while at the same time maintaining the integrity of the data is really, really, really important.
No, that's great, Kevin. That's interesting. And then let's talk about data platforms as well. So what role do data platforms play in supporting value-based care initiatives and enhancing care teams throughout the patient care journey?
Yeah, so I think it's a great question. And I think data platforms are an integral part of sort of the technology kind of ecosystem. I think, in the interoperability world, there's kind of a saying, like, you've seen one EMR, you've actually only seen one EHR, because the data itself is still in a place where it is kind of hard to interpret in a way that makes sense. Again, I think going, from our journey from HL7 to APIs to now FHIR is certainly improving that. But inherently, I think you need this intermediary to, especially when you're talking about connecting, large organizations, whether they're provider or payer organizations, that, their ecosystem consists of, maybe hundreds of source systems. And then you're talking about connecting to the national networks. I think having a data platform that you can serve data up to clinicians during the care journey and then doing the analytics on the back end, I think is integral to the whole kind of patient care journey infrastructure.
Thanks. As people start to see, as you mentioned early in our podcast, Gen AI and the use of all these technologies, machine learning on top of that, how's healthcare data being leveraged to improve decision-making and create efficiency throughout the care process?
So I think it's a couple of different things. I think we would talk a lot about the LLMs and generative AI and where it's all going. And I think people really, truly want to jump right to some of the clinical use cases that are out there. And certainly ambient is pervasive throughout the EHR ecosystem now. And I think that's been a really, really solid use case. I think I look at things that have maybe a little bit more higher ROI and that maybe are a little bit more boring than your typical kind of clinical use cases. And so I look at things, and my team is looking at things like AI-enabled search, right? So you think about all the data that's out there, whether it's documents, discrete, understanding how you can basically look for metadata inside documents, outside of documents, and deliver it in a very structured way. Search has a really easy ROI to measure because just the streams and the volumes of data that are out there. And so I think that's one.
And it's hard to find stuff.
It's incredibly hard to find stuff, especially when clinicians need it. And so I think their tolerance for finding data and doing that in a really quick and productive manner is incredibly important.
I like that idea.
So I think a second one, I think that we're really, really focused on, again, not really a new idea, but you certainly enable AI on top of it, and it sort of puts it on steroids, is natural language processing, right? And so again, back to the fact that we're still operating in this world that we have lots of documents flying around, and using sort of AI-enabled NLP to essentially take discrete or take data elements from documents and keep it at a high level of integrity where we can kind of use that to make decisions is really, really important as well. And so I think that's something that we're focused on. We do spend a lot of time there as well. And I think the third one, kind of an oldie.
On that one, Kevin, real quick, are you thinking like using it for clinical decision support and things like that, or?
Yeah, and so I think you do get, certainly in some of these value-based care arrangements where care coordination becomes paramount to the success and the incentives are aligned, you still get a lot of things like, for example, discharge instructions that are maybe on a PDF, get sent to a care coordinator. They got to develop kind of a care plan. They have to siphon through, 12 pages of discharge instructions to understand actually what happened to that patient. And so doing that in maybe a more efficient manner that they can generate the care plan by not necessarily looking at every, discharge instruction that comes across, but they can do it in a very efficient way. Makes a lot more sense.
That's really great. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, sure.
And then you were going to mention a third.
Yeah, I think third one, which again, it's kind of an oldie but goodie, and I think that again, you put generative AI on top of these, and you look like remote patient monitoring is one that it's really, really interesting, and as devices become more pervasive across folks wearing wearables, whether they're for chronic conditions or whether they're for just general health. I mean, everyone, I see you got a sort of an Apple Watch on. I have a fitness watch on. I mean, the streams of data that come across, whether it's sleep data, whether it's heart rate or any type of data, I think generative AI has the ability just to siphon through that data and make sense of that data and patterns, I think much better than we've ever had before. And so as some of these devices, whether they're preventative, whether they're treating chronic conditions, I think the streams of that data, AI-enabled remote patient monitoring just become incredibly important and really could be a game changer moving forward.
Yeah, and I love that, Kevin. There's a huge supply and demand issue in our health system.
Absolutely.
I think these tools and the ideas you mentioned are available today for all of us to leverage. And if you have an awesome partner like Kevin and his organization at Altera Digital Health, you can make it happen.
That's for sure.
Hey, Kevin, so just so that it's clear for everybody listening to us, like, who do you serve? Who are your customers, and how do you summarize the key problem that you solve for them?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So, we have a great degree of or high sort of a variety of customers, and so we're serving health systems, physician organizations, and payers in the U.S.
Okay.
And we have a pretty large global footprint as well. And so we're serving health systems, public and private, throughout the world. And generally, I think our core differentiator is on the interoperability side, providing aggregating source systems, providing high quality data, and serving it up at the point of care. And so I think one of our key differentiators is, we're able to serve up data to clinicians without them leaving their native workflow. And I think that's really, really important, because I think the last thing physicians want to do is hunt and peck around for data when they're in a 13-minute kind of patient visit. And so if you can serve that data up into a meaningful way, I think it becomes really a differentiator and kind of how you're in that interoperability world.
That's great, Kevin. What a great way to close. The value is available to everyone listening. If folks want to get in touch with you, Kevin, and the Altera Digital Health team, learn more about the Care in Motion platform, how can they do that?
AlteraHealth.com is your best way to do it, and there's plenty of information there on Care in Motion and DB Motion on the website.
Outstanding. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Check out the show notes for all the ways to get in touch with Kevin and the Altera Digital Health team. Appreciate y'all being with us. And Kevin, thanks for joining.
You bet. Thanks very much. It was a lot of fun.
This podcast is produced by Outcomes Rocket, your healthcare exclusive digital marketing agency. Outcomes Rocket exists to help healthcare organizations like yours to maximize their impact and accelerate growth. Visit outcomesrocket.com or text us at 312-224-9945.